Now today's video is to show you a small innovation that this farmer is carrying out in a community in Kaja. Cultivate tomato on these beds that you're seeing. So the area is a flat plain, and what he did was to raise land out of the water. So we got to raise beds, and which he did manually with a hoe. And he started his nursery in December. So at the time, the irrigation farmers at 𝘁𝗵𝗆 area are planting watermelon. He also transplants the seedlings to the beds. So he has a bed over there as he's pointing to, and then transplants to other beds. So technically that's the beds you see at the farm or farmland raised in water. Conducts weeding with his hand, so he doesn't need to use a hoe in this case. The size of the bed is usually small. According to him, the water level is constant, and in case there is a drought condition and the area is dry, what he does is to dig holes, and then the water naturally flows to fill the holes. So it's the reason why you would see that he has sort of planted sticks among the beds, just to indicate that these areas are relatively deep. We are at another side of the farm, and here he has 40 beds, and it has been 2 weeks after transplanting the seedlings to these beds. He mentioned that this farming is very lucrative or advantageous than compared to those who practice irrigation along the coast, or those who practice irrigation at the river banks. To him, he doesn't need to pump water to the farm, so there is no cost of electricity as it's conducted by those along the coast. And even he doesn't need a pumping machine. He doesn't need to purchase pumping machine. He's not concerned about whether the pumping machine is broken, that he needs to carry for repairs. And the farming system he practices here requires limited labor. He does this farming with his household. The only time he needs extra hand is when he wanted to create the beds. Weeding is done by hand. Now, is it only tomatoes that he cultivates here? No. He also cultivates pepper, and he explains that eggplant also thrives in the area, but not watermelon. Because the area is waterlogged, certain crops do not thrive here. Even though he mentions that it is good and lucrative compared to other irrigation farmers, there are challenges in terms of the cost of seeds, which I have mentioned earlier on in some videos I posted last month, and poor road network. And the cost of fertilizer is high. He also mentions that pests and diseases are constantly affecting the crops, so he needs to buy agrochemicals to spray the farm. And here he laments about the cost of agrochemicals. He shows the other area. Now, as you can see, there are large tracts of land that have not been cultivated. We'll end this by asking, this is a wetland area, and some will say protected area, an area where nature is to be protected, biodiversity because it's close to the river, to protect wild species, birds, and so on. The question is, should we encourage farming in such areas? Do we replace farming instead of wetland and nature, or do we protect nature? Next week, we'll continue again the discussion. Thanks for joining me this week.